everyone. I just thought we'd just get started now, not keep you all waiting. So yeah, this meeting's about the elections. So for clubs and societies that are upcoming, and if any of you have just joined, if you could add your club and society into your display name, and this will be recorded. So if you don't want to be on the recording, then yeah, just turn your cameras off and we'll get started. So yeah, I'm Liv and I'm a Vice President of Student Experience, and we've also got Ray, Dom and Jack here who will be presenting and answering any questions you have in the chat while we go through, so you don't have to wait till the end. So we're just going to go through general election information, and that will include how to submit a nomination, how to vote, what we'll be doing and what you'll need to do as club and society execs, and what will happen after the elections, and then we've got any other business updates for you all at the end. Is this me again? Okay, so what are the elections? So as execs, you would have gone through this probably last year, or if you're a new club or society, I'll just quickly run through it, but it happens every year, and this is how the exec are voted in. And you can hold elections at any point during the year, but we do most of them now, and this will be for the upcoming academic year. So you've got time to do handovers and everything before the end of the year. And in order for a club and society to operate, you need to have fulfilled the core officer roles, and they are the president, secretary, treasurer and welfare officer. And then this year and next year we will have a COVID officer, just as we go through transitions. And you can have many other exec roles. So some clubs and societies have social media officers or events officers, and you can create new ones if you want. It's just whatever works best for you all, but you do need to have those 5 core ones.
Cool. So yeah, the election schedule this year. From now until the 22nd of February, we're just asking you to fill in the sheet that we sent you an email about. We will, I think a couple of slides down the line, there is a bit more info about that. So that'll be just a chance for you to let us know what positions you want to be available in your elections, because there might be some positions from this year that no longer apply, or there might be some that you think would be really great for next year. Then from the 26th of February until the 9th of March, nominations are going to be open. So all of your committee members, can nominate themselves for different positions. We've extended it for a longer period of time this year. Normally we'd have sort of a shorter period of time. This is in societies anyway from last year, from my experience. And then we'd have sort of an extra round of nominations if needed. But we're trying to extend the amount of time this year to kind of give plenty of time for everyone to kind of know what's happening, to get on board and to sort of ask the current exec team questions about what it is to be an exec, and that kind of thing. And then as of 10th of March, after the nominations have all closed, we'll then go through all club and society memberships and suspend the sales of them. Otherwise, people can go on and buy memberships just to vote for their friends. And we don't really want that. I mean, you can do that in terms of you can buy your memberships before that date to do that. But that's just something that we're going to be doing this year to keep it as fair as possible. As of the 13th of March through to the 22nd of March, then voting is open. Pretty standard, that one. And then as of the 23rd of March onwards, we will be getting the results out to you via email as soon as possible. So ways of holding an election, as you can see, one side we have a little bit of different set of rules, just because of how we sort of operated before we merged together with clubs into one big student activities department this year. But for societies, you can do them through the essexstudent.com website. So that's as you do with a lot of elections, especially the general elections with the core positions, they'll all be done online. But you can also hold them at a society general meeting. You have to give your members 5 days notice. This stuff is in the terms of reference for societies. But yeah, you can do it through a society general meeting with a vote at the end. And you can also have the current exec team can interview candidates. But again, those the two methods offline. The two methods that aren't on the website, sorry, they have to be for the non-core roles. So anything but the 5 that Liv mentioned in I think the second slide of this presentation. Any results that are not held through the website, they have to be submitted to the SUSOC's email once the election's been concluded, just with some form of evidence, just like a screenshot of the vote statistics or something like that, just so that if anyone comes to us at a later point and tries to say that the votes weren't valid or something, then we have the evidence to back it up. And clubs, as you can see, very, very short, but it's all done through the Essex student website. So yeah, this is the spreadsheet I mentioned earlier and that you should have got an email hopefully about. If you haven't got the email for some reason, then use the link that's at the top there. Essentially, what we ask you to do is find your society or your club. There's a little tab at the bottom for clubs and societies. Have a look through, find yours, and look at the positions that are listed. That's what we have noted down for you this year. If there's any changes or if there's anything that we haven't got noted down for some reason that you'd like to be available in the election this year, then just add it on there. And once you're done, just let it, just highlight it all in green. Essentially, we have to go through these all manually. So any that we can get started on now and scheduling now would be great, because it just makes it much less of a rush if we're doing them sort of all at the deadline, all sort of last minute before the election's open. Yeah, as it says there, you can add or you can remove positions. So if you want a bigger exec team, just add some on. If you want it to be a little bit smaller for next year, then take some off. But yeah, we'd suggest talking to your members, seeing if they feel that certain positions should be there next year, or if they've got any interests in opening a new position, something that they could think could benefit your club or your society. So yeah, just have a chat to them. And as it says at the bottom here, societies, because you can have the different methods of elections, then it would just be good if you can move any that you're not doing through the website, just move them across so that we don't then put them online and there's no confusion then of results going out, because you might then elect someone in a meeting, but we'll send an email saying no one was elected, and then people are going to be confused. So yeah, just move them across if necessary. Can you hold more than one position? So in short, yes, you can, but there are the 3 positions there. President, secretary, treasurer, or secretary is often called vice president for sports. They just need to be held by separate people, and the reasons for this: president and treasurer, they're the ones responsible for signing off the expense claims. So the same person can't hold both roles because they can't then sign off their own expenses. And then secretary should be the person responsible at all meetings to take down any minutes. And the president will usually, it might be different within your club or your society, but the president will usually lead the meeting. So you need someone to lead the meeting and someone to take the notes and distribute the notes after. So yeah, if you're ever unsure, just ask us and we'll let you know if you can hold certain positions together. But yeah. Alumni position. So some of you already have this and it's really, really great. But we're suggesting that all clubs and societies include an alumni officer / assistant role in their elections this year. And it would ideally be for someone who is graduating this year. That's really because this role is designed at being someone who can help assist a new exec team going into the next year, based off what they've learned through a COVID year. Obviously, we're hoping that next year we'll be back to as much of a normal year as it can be. But it looks like we're at a point where at least some of the year is going to be a bit of a similar year to this one. So it'd be really great for someone who's perhaps president this year, but you're in your final year of studies, to take on a role such as an alumni officer or assistant. On the right hand side there, it also says as well that this role can help to assist with core roles as well. So if your society only fills the president position, then the alumni officer could also help to fill in with like a treasurer responsibility, so they can sign off on some expenses as well, because it might be that you've still got loads of members, but no one wanted to be the ones to lead the society. And then in the first term of next year, we'll then look at trying to get some people to fill in those roles again. It might be that some people needed to have a bit of a trial run at it maybe and give it a week and see what they thought of it. But we'll kind of work with you as and when we need to fill those positions at a later date. But yes, if you would like to have an alumni position, obviously there's no pressure. You don't have to, but we're really encouraging you to do it. And if you would like it, then just add it onto that Google Sheet spreadsheet, so that we note that down. The next two slides, obviously a lot of you will know how to do this already, but this is kind of info to pass on to your members. We'll be putting out some stuff to members in the next sort of week or so, as well as some social media stuff to let people know how to do this. But yeah, so if you can pass this on to them, that'd be great. And if you don't know, because maybe you're a new society, then this would be really handy information. But you just have to head to your society page, or the society page that you're wanting to nominate yourself for a position in, and then go onto the Your Say tab, which is along the list of the row of tabs there. And then basically it's just as simple as following the instructions. So you have to just enter your name, you have to choose the post that you're going for, upload a photo maybe and a manifesto. And yeah, it's really simple to do. Yeah, make sure it's all double check that it's all definitely gone through after you submit your nomination. We can't upload nominations after the deadline, even if it was something that you thought it was done and it's turned out it hasn't saved or something. Then we have to make sure it's a free and fair election for everyone. So we can't then submit a late nomination unless there is some extreme circumstance that prevented you from doing it. Then we may be able to help, but usually it's we can't help after the point in which nominations have ended. The third point down, yeah, so we go through and we manually approve or reject all of these nominations. So if your nomination just shows up as like pending or not approved yet, then don't worry, it's just a case of we haven't got around to approving yours yet. But we will say, as it says on there, if it gets to the day before voting starts and your nomination hasn't been approved, then get in touch. It might just be that something that we didn't save, or we have just missed one. We're only human, some of these things happen. So yeah, just let us know. To nominate yourself for a core position, you'll need to have, again, this is one of my things of adding societies, because that's what I'm used to, but societies or the sport memberships, the relevant ones that you need to have, and especially obviously the specific ones that you're, the ones for the specific club or society that you're wishing to stand for a position in, and also be a current student of the University of Essex. That's for the core positions. And then this year, alumni will be able to nominate themselves for non-core roles within an exec team. And obviously this is the same applies for a final year student, but you'll still have the current student status on your profile, so that'll be fine. But yeah, so you can run for non-core roles. So in the same way that we're sort of saying that we're asking you to do the alumni position, if you don't want to do that, but you would like to still carry on being a social media officer, for example, after you've graduated, then this year that's all good to happen this year. But we do have there that no executive team should consist of more than 25% alumni members. We still primarily want societies and clubs to be led by students. So yeah, just a little example, if you've got 8 members, then only 2 positions maximum should be taken by a former student. How to vote, again, a lot of you will know this already, but you just have to go to the Your Say tab, sorry. And one thing that is relevant for like the sabbatical elections, and as well as this one, you can choose your preferences on there. So you don't just have to vote for one person. And it's really important to make sure that your members know that as well, and you relay that information onto your members, because it can help to decide. It helps decide some elections sometimes, because a lot of them can be really close. And if some of you don't quite know how that works, then if the person that you gave your first vote preference to gets essentially knocked out in the first round, in the first stage of the process, then your second choice will then gain the vote into that next round, and so on until the winner is chosen. Sometimes there'll be an outright winner that meets the threshold instantly, and it's a clear winner. But sometimes we need, like, those extra bits will really help. And even if people don't want any of the candidates to win, then make sure you still encourage people to vote for Ron, because this counts as a valid vote as well. So yeah. And again, to vote in the society elections, you'll need to have, again, just ignore that it says just societies, but societies or sports, the relevant memberships of the club or society that you wish to vote in, and also be a current student of the University of Essex. So alumni and non-students will not be able to vote. So that's just a system, what's the word? setting basically that we have on the back end of the system that stops that from happening. So results and quoracy. So results will begin to release, as it said earlier, the results as of the 23rd of March. So please bear with us, just give us a little bit of time to do that. We've got less staff than we usually do, and we are all on shortened hours at the moment because of the furlough scheme. So we'll be getting through those as quick as we can. And sometimes the emails from us, they will go to junk folders, so just keep an eye on those. But as soon as you get those results, just make sure to post them out on your social media platforms or whatever you use to most communicate with your members, because some people obviously they won't check their emails. The next bit is societies only. Usually, and I mean still in our terms of reference, we have the clause or the article that says 25% of a paid membership or 30 members, whichever number is lower, needs to have voted in your elections for the results to be valid. So for each position. We've sort of spoken about this, and we know that engagement is tougher this year because it is all online, and some people may have bought a membership at the start of the year, but then have never really got involved after that point. And we know that this might have an impact basically on what your voting turnouts are, and this may affect if votes are valid. So we're asking you this year, I've never done a poll before, but I'm hoping that this will work. Second. We're asking you basically if you want to keep the quoracy aspect of it, or if you want to scrap it for this year. I'm hoping that by doing this, I had a question. I don't know why this isn't working. This is annoying. Sorry about this. Okay, I think the poll should be there now. Can someone please let me know if that is there or not? Or we launch polling with this. Cool. For societies, if it could be just societies only that vote for this one. So yeah, just to double confirm, yes means that you'd like to keep the rules in place, and no means that you'd like there to be no minimum, like there to be no voting threshold this year, and that at least one vote will make it valid. Cool. I reckon, with some being sports, I reckon that will be about the right amount that have voted. So it's a clear no. So yeah, for this year, it will just be as long as one person has voted, results will stand. Cool. Thank you very much. So back to this. So the next bit is what will we do and what will you do during the elections? So us, we'll do all of the admin side of things. So that means we'll set up all of the elections on the website according to what posts that you give us that you'd like to be available on that Google Sheets spreadsheet. I have the link to that. I know Ray has asked me for the link to that, but I can't get to it right now because I'm doing the presentation. But once this is finished and I pass back over to Liv at the end, I will quickly pop and get that link, and then I think there's probably for it to be posted in the chat, I'm imagining. But this will be available as well tomorrow on the website, and I'll send out a link to it, and you'll be able to get the link through the presentation as well. So don't worry about too much about on that one. We will also post social media reminders just for certain deadlines, so like nominations being open, voting being open, kind of countdown to voting being closed, that kind of thing. And we'll be posting out some general kind of descriptions about certain positions as well. So what someone might expect if they become president, treasurer, etc., just to kind of hope to garner some interest in positions and get people thinking about what positions they'd like to stand for in certain societies and clubs. Email all the results to clubs and societies, and then we'll be helping afterwards to resolve any election issues that may occur. And then you, obviously, we've asked you to fill in that Google Sheet spreadsheet, post on your own socials. So like we said, we're going to be posting about deadlines and 5 days to go, that kind of thing. We're asking you to do that as well. And also share posts with your members, or share emails with your members, or have a meeting about what it means to be an exec member and what each of the roles are. Because some of the posts that we make, they might be, like I said, they're going to be some general posts, and a secretary for your society might be a little bit different. It might have some different responsibilities. So yeah, some social media posts, or a meeting the week before, or sort of during elections, maybe, to kind of say, come and speak to the current exec and ask us about our roles. That might be really useful to do. We also encourage you to hold a hustings event, so either on the 10th or 11th or 12th of March, which is the time between nominations closing and voting opening. And it's basically where it's like a society or club general meeting, and those that are running for a position will be given, say, a minute or 2 minutes to talk about why they believe they're the best person for the role. And from that, people can then go and make their decisions, either online if you're holding them there, or in a meeting once the voting period has opened at another point. And last but yeah, so once we email the results to your society or your club, then just make sure to publish them on other forms of communication you have. So whether that be through Instagram or through Twitter, or whatever you do, just make sure it gets to members in all forms of communication. Election conduct. Make sure that all your members have an equal opportunity to stand for a position within your election. So it's just a really, really simple one. If you do hold a hustings event, make sure every candidate has the same amount of time to speak and to answer questions. And there must be someone chairing the meeting as well who is not standing for any position in the election, just to make it as fair as possible. But if everyone at the meeting is running for a position, then just make sure that whoever chairs the meeting doesn't chair the section that has the position they're running for. We don't have rules around endorsing candidates, like current exec members sort of suggesting to members who they think should get the role, but just ensure, obviously, that the elections are fair, and that if you're endorsing someone just because they're your friend, try and stray away from that sort of thing. Obviously, societies are really important to a lot of people at the uni, so it's important that those elected in are the best people to do the job. So just keep it as fair as possible. One for society, so if you're holding non-core role elections in a way that isn't through the website, then we recommend just having 2 impartial members of the society, club, but it's just for societies, validate the results. So 2 people, like we say, normally we'd have 1 executive and then 1 person who isn't on the exec team. If that's possible, that's the best thing to do, because that means that and obviously, yeah, people that aren't running for the positions to be the ones that validate the results. You can do it probably just like I did with that poll. You'd probably be able to do it a bit smoother than I just did with that poll anyway. But that would probably be the easiest way to do something like that. But yeah, just a kind of a human nature thing, but just make sure that any results being announced are done sensitively. Make sure that you ask beforehand that you're going to be displaying the results through a poll. Is that okay? And if someone says it's not, then obviously don't press the button that says you can share the results. Keep that as a screenshot somewhere, so that if someone comes to you afterwards, you can say, yeah, we have got the results, but we were just being sensitive to the matter. It's just a nice thing to do. But yeah, if you do believe there's been any misconduct in your club or your society elections, then just email us as soon as you can, because the longer something goes on, the harder it is to then rectify. So just email us as soon as you can. Once the elections are over, then it's time to start thinking about your handovers. You, as the current exec members now, you should look to provide support to the newly elected exec members, so that when they officially assume their roles, they'll have some really good knowledge of what they can do to help themselves and help the society as soon as they take power. The official date will be 1st of August 2021, and that's when the new execs will take power. But you can start that sooner if every single member of the new exec and every single member of the current exec agrees to it. That just needs to be emailed to us with every single member CC'd into the email, so that if one person is not aware of it, they can say, I didn't agree to this, and then we can stop that happening. And there's a list there of some things that you can cover in a handover. So it would be day-to-day running of your society or your club, some things about expenses like the online expenses form, and how that kind of works. All of your passwords to your social media accounts, that your society or your club Instagram, that kind of thing. Things like in a normal year, how you book a teaching room. Obviously, we'll go through a lot of these things in the initial trainings at the start of the academic year as well. But it's always handy to know those kinds of things. Submitting external speaker requests and why that needs to happen. Where to find the most up-to-date training presentations. So of course, at the moment, they're on the exec resources page. So you can just point them in the direction of that and ask them to kind of take a brief look over that. And then we'll go through new training sessions with them with the complete up-to-date info at the time. Finances, where you get your finances from, your membership funds, that kind of thing. How to edit your society or your club page. Any disputes you've had from the past year. That's sort of a really kind of easy one that will give a lot of information about, handy information about how you can kind of deal with conflicts. Just make sure that you don't include any personal info. If it was a sensitive subject, don't include any names. You can just sort of say what the issue was. How you overcame those issues, things that your members have enjoyed, and what they've maybe not engaged with as well, so they can kind of know what to do and what not to do. And any society or club branding that you have. I know that a lot of sports clubs, you kind of go with the same. You have the Blades logo, and you might kind of adapt that a little bit. But I know that a lot of societies have their own logos, and they have the different kind of way of branding stuff. So just anything like that that ensures an easy transition into the next year. I think this is the last one from me, so you won't have to hear my voice for much longer. But what happens if you don't complete your elections? So normally it would be a little bit more strict in the previous years, but this year, again, we know that things are tough this year and that engagement has been lower. So we're basically just going to be doing everything that we can this year to help you keep the societies going and the clubs going. Ideally, we want at least 2 people elected into each committee, and that would be a president and a treasurer, because obviously finances are a big part of it. So we need to make sure that we have at least 2 people, so that one person isn't signing off their own expense claims. And if it is 2 people, then they can kind of fill in for other roles a little bit whilst we look for other alternatives. As it says, we'll kind of work with you again in the 3rd term to kind of see if you can get any more interest and we can get people on board. And it may have to be that it's in the 1st term of next year. As I said kind of earlier, it might be that 3rd term you speak to your members and say, does anyone want to give it a try for a week, see what you think? And then we can kind of go from there and find a solution that way. Then you might ask why we're not doing that in the first place, but by kind of the terms of reference that we have and the constitutions that we have to allow that free and fair chance for everyone to run the first time round. But yeah, if the positions aren't all filled, then we can look for alternative solutions. And yeah, think about the alumni position and make sure that you've explored every opportunity of having people on the exec team that can support people next year. It might be that a first year runs for a position this year, thinking that if I don't do it, the society is going to, the society or the club is going to die and is going to go, and they might sort of do it out of panic in that. And then to have an alumni on the exec team will really help to support them into that next year. Yeah, I think that is all from me now. So yeah, back to Liv.
Cool. So I'm just going to run through some upcoming bits of information just so you guys know them ahead of time. So these are just other updates. So we've got the 50-hour rebellion, which is going to be run by Rebel, which is our creative studios on campus, and they'll be holding their 5th annual 50-hour charity radio marathon, which is the rebellion, from midday on Thursday the 25th till Feb till the 2nd, not the 2nd, till 2 on Saturday the 27th of February. And this is not only a great way to help people who are struggling with loneliness, as it'll be going on at all hours of the day, but also to raise awareness about your club and society. Maybe some new members will be found through it and you can update on stuff that's going on, but it's also going to a great cause. It's raising money for charity, but also this counts towards your volunteering hours. And I know on the standards, there's a section about collaborating with Rebel. So I'd strongly advise you to look at the slides after and use the link, and that's where you can book in a slot. So yeah, your time on Rebel is completely up to you. So you can talk about what your club and society normally does, talk about how you've adapted and changed this year. I know many clubs and societies have done some, quite creative sort of events this year because of the pandemic, and I think that'd be a great way to showcase what you have been able to do. And you can also use it as a promo opportunity for things you've got that are upcoming, or you could host a session or showcase some work that is going on anyway there. So this will be in pre-recorded bits as well, if you're unable to live stream your selected slot. So yeah, there are loads of opportunities for you to get involved in the 50-hour rebellion, which is from the 25th to the 27th.
I have to stop that share and then reshare it. For some reason, I couldn't get back to it. I minimized the screen. I can't see it now. Is it back there again now?
Ish. I said it's not full screen.
Yeah, I cannot find it for some reason. Where it's gone. It's basically, I'm sharing it, but it's gone from my screen, so I can't press the next button.
Okay.
If I stop sharing it, are you able to share it?
Screen share and do it again.
I did that. I stopped it, but then when I've reshared it, it won't show up for me again.
Okay, I'll get it up. We're at, sorry everyone. Cool, who will see this?
Yep.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay, so then Rebel will also be doing a competition, which is aiming to encourage students to get creative and share their work. It doesn't have to be related to your club and society, just more about as individuals and your members, something to get involved in, an extra event to sort of brighten up the pandemic and being in lockdown. So the theme is life during the pandemic. So this can be in a picture or a video, but how daily life has changed during lockdown and the world's changed, or how you felt or people around you. And there'll be a photo and a video submission and contest that will take place. So for the video, there are some info on some tips here, but 1 to 2 minutes in landscape. And yeah, it's not about the quality, but it will be chosen by the Rebel Video Committee based on factors like the story, the message, the scene, editing and acting or props, whichever links into what you decide to do. And there'll be a prize of £20 for the video chosen, £15 and another will be £5 voted on Instagram. It's the most popular one. So either share this I'd recommend sharing this with your members as something to do, friends, but also when it comes to the voting, checking out Rebel's Instagram in order to vote for the best one there. I'm sharing so I can move on. And then this will be more at the photo contest, and it's £15 for the best picture, and this is what's selected from the number of likes, £5 for the most creative shot, and they'll make stories listing the contenders, assign numbers at the last story, and they'll ask people to vote on it. So it'll all be done through Rebel's social media, so I'd recommend following that and sharing that with your members as well. And old photos will be accepted, but it must be your own work, so no plagiarism there. And then another upcoming project is Let's Connect, which has been advertised on the SU's Instagram story. I'm very invested in this project, I've been working on it, but it's all about dedicating 2 weeks to help bring students together, and it's something we've heard a lot from all of you, but also we've noticed ourselves with it just being so much harder to meet new people, and just having conversations like you would on squares or after a lecture is a lot harder, even just socializing. So it's 2 weeks dedicated with lots of different events and opportunities, not run by Zoom, so you don't talk about Zoom fatigue, but you can register through the link which is here, and there'll be more info on Monday about an app that's coming to help work with it. So I think around 700 people have already signed up, so I'd recommend getting involved in that as well. And the last thing is about the app that is coming, and that is Yumi. It was set up by not an Essex student, but a former uni student who struggled meeting people and socialising, and it works very well. Obviously, the fact that we're all socially distanced this year, but from Monday, the app will go out as being promoted, and as exec of your clubs and societies, we'd recommend you getting involved as an ambassador role. So this basically means that you just help promote it with other people in your club and society, but it then means when people match and connect with yourself, it could be on the fact that you both are interested in swimming, and you can be matched on different criteria that you put down, and that could help promote your guys with first years who maybe haven't got involved in the swimming club, and they can help find connections that way. But also it could be a very casual chat about what you've been watching on Netflix as well. So this will be coming on Monday, but I thought I'd give you guys a heads up with that. And all you need to do is download the app on the App Store. It's like a bluey green logo, and register with your @Essex email, so you're set up with Essex students. Otherwise it's not going to work too well because any other emails won't link you up in the same way. And it's just with profile picture, and you can add what course in the year you study and select other interests that you have, and you can add icebreaker questions as well, but it matches you with I think 5 different people every day, and it just goes through, so you're constantly getting to know new people and you can have conversations with them. And that's Yumi. And then these are about awards. So I know we've had the awards meeting prior, but this will be a rough idea of the timeline for society awards. So obviously the standards forms currently on the website, and from the 1st of March, all the individual and society awards will be up online. So Society of the Year, ESS, those sorts of things. And you'll have until the end of March, so you've got 31 days to fill in these applications. Make sure as exec you're encouraging all your members to fill it in. You don't have to fill them all out yourselves, spread it between your whole exec team to fill in all the sections, but it will be taken into account COVID and everything that's happened, but we're also aware that some of you have done some amazing work as well this year, and with the individual awards that celebrate your whole time as a societies or clubs member, it's important that you fill those in, celebrate your whole achievement. And the deadline, that is the end of March, and individual awards will be decided on the 9th of April. And what happens is we open up for appeals if there are applications missing some information. So you've got at the bottom here from the 9th to the 21st to amend your individual appeal. The submission date for standards is later because there are a lot of criteria. So that will be the 19th of April for your standards deadline. And we've put in a provisional date. It won't be, unfortunately, an in-person ceremony because of the pandemic, but we're looking at hosting it virtually on the 6th. So that's just a question mark date to go in the diary, but all the other submission dates will remain the same. And it's very similar for clubs, but yeah, individual and team awards, and then the standards forms the same. And the provisional date is Wednesday, the 5th of May. So just keep looking out on the 1st for emails about the documents, but they'll all be on the website next to where the standards one is. So I think it's really important that you all fill them in and give yourself more than just doing it the night before. And yeah, if you've got any other questions, either drop them in the chat now or email us. The emails are all at the bottom. But I think the last thing to add on upcoming dates is RAG, and that was decided literally the meeting before this. So it's fresh news, so it didn't make the slides, but we're looking at doing it the week of the 22nd of March. So there'll be fundraising for these charities voted by you guys, and that was Black Minds Matter and the Colchester Food Bank. So if you're thinking of some fundraising events to go towards your standards, you can do them in that week, but there'll be more information coming about RAG and events to get involved in there. So yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh no, you go.
I'll say one last thing. Just Ray pointed out to me that I think I sort of briefly skimmed over. If there's anyone here that is from a club or a society that started up in any point in this term, so the second term, then you do not have to do the elections if you don't want to. That's a new sort of thing we've introduced as well. We'll be contacting you to get that confirmation from you whether you'd like to hold an election or not. But you do get that choice, especially for, I think we just thought some of you have started in the last few weeks, and to then make you go through elections when you've just formed seems a little bit silly, a little bit unfair. So yeah. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions, as Liv said, ask them now or put in the chat, or yeah.